To me, the debate about faith versus science has always seemed like two people arguing while throwing darts in the dark, where each person views their respective position as being superior based on differing criteria of strengths and weaknesses. The first person views it as a weakness that the second can so blatantly miss their mark, while the second views it as a strength that the miss can be tabulated at all, since the failure provides a basis from which he can gauge his improvement in the activity. In turn, the second person views it as a weakness that he cannot observe either the success or failure on the part of his neighbor, to which the first believes it to be a strength that he is privy to knowledge that is unattainable to his skeptical counterpart. And in all fairness, the man of faith may very well be hitting a dartboard that exists beyond the light of science. He may even be hitting the bullseye every time. But the problem here is not just that they have different perspectives and ways of doing things. It is that these two can't get along, and they've been having this argument for thousands of years. And the reason is that mutual understanding and appreciation is not possible, because the faithful cannot demonstrate the value of abandoning flashlights or turning them off. The scientist has demonstrated a continual improvement in each of the things he sought to accomplish, whereas the faithful is exactly where he started 2,000 years ago and has yet to justify the lack of progress. And most often, those who don't believe in flashlights, or rather those who believe in flashlights but pretend not to notice their usefulness, don't understand how flashlights really work in the first place. And as often as people claim to like science, I must confess that it is no consolation, because, like or dislike, there really can be no substitute for understanding what it is or what it claims to be. That is not to say that science and faith are completely incompatible. Indeed, there are those who practice throwing darts with flashlights while they're at work, and then turn the flashlights off when they go home. Those would be people like Dr. Francis Collins, director of the Human Genome Research Project, who, despite creationists' best wishes of discovering God in the laboratory, came upon his religious experience during a personal hike through the mountains instead. But even those people cannot truly reconcile these two positions or bridge the gap between the two methodologies. I mean, if someone speaks both Japanese and English, they should be able to serve as an interpreter between a Japanese speaker and an English speaker so that they can come to a mutual understanding. But for some reason, those who both throw darts in the dark and the light apparently cannot teach the faithful how flashlights work, and they cannot teach the scientist how to hit the invisible dartboard. And it doesn't help that all those people who have had near dartboard experiences have never returned from the darkness with an actual dartboard, or that we already have a neurological explanation for why you see spots when you use a flashlight improperly and then turn it off. In fact, many proselytizers are all too happy to misuse science in order to propose things that science does not suggest. What's worse is that even if you were to convince me that I should turn my flashlight off, you still wouldn't have proved that we're hitting the same dartboard. Just because we use the same words doesn't mean we're describing the same thing. Regardless of how many similarities the descriptions can have, neither of us can read the other person's mind, and there would be no way for us to verify which dartboard we're hitting external to the descriptions in our heads. Myself and others have done all we can to try to understand the supposed usefulness of faith. I was raised in the dark under a faithful and loving mother, but my life was never as enriched as it has been since I discovered the flashlight of science that allows me to observe my failures and improve my aim. I can even appreciate the philosophical explanation of how faith can allow a person to reach a Zen-like state, but I can do that with flashlights, so I still don't see why faith is necessary or beneficial to the process. But if you really can't understand science, then maybe it is better that you stay away from it. Just don't think you're doing the world a favor by demonizing and waging a war against flashlights. So all I'm saying is, I fully accept that you choose to play darts in the dark and that you might be right about everything you believe. But if that is your choice, then please follow your own beliefs and let bygones be bygones. Don't try to undermine science or ruin the game for everyone else just so that you have more company in the shadows. Because I'll tell you, the more people who throw things without seeing what they're hitting, the more likely it is that someone will get hurt. Thanks for watching.